What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video. We're here with the review, recap of Bel-Air, episode 9. And, I'm just gonna pretty much give my notes of what I thought of this latest episode and the last one as it relates to this episode. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, now I've been seeing a lot of debacle, on the internet as far as the notion of Will's father, Lou, coming back. Now, this man, this deadbeat, wouldn't even be a topic of discussion if it wasn't for Vi coming back from, coming up to Bel-Air from West Philly and acting a fool. Because the thing is, I just don't understand how it's like you have nothing to do with Lou as far as your life is going right now, and you chose to open a can of worms knowing damn well if you're talking to a boy who doesn't know his father and then you start to answer questions and give descriptions and stuff like that, of course your son is going to go down that rabbit hole to figure out who his father is. Now, my problem with Geoffrey is that Uncle Phil told him, yo, make sure that Lou comes nowhere near this family. And obviously we don't know the backstory with, Geoffrey and Uncle Phil and Lou yet. So obviously, Geoffrey has his reasonings as far as why he feels like, Will deserves to essentially know his father. It seems like Geoffrey doesn't really have a problem with Lou. That's pretty much why when Will came to him, he was like, yo, I can do that for you, and basically gave him the letter that, Uncle Phil and Geoffrey intercepted in the first place. Now this is my thing. We all know that based off of the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Lou is gonna come back. I feel like it's gonna be a situation where he's really just gonna show up at their door, kind of like how Lou did that in the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think whatever was in the package, more than likely it was like a letter with probably like a photo album in there. So it would be like a letter to Will and then a whole bunch of baby pictures with Will and himself, pretty much to try to appeal to Will's emotions and try to get him, emotionally involved and try to get him on his side. In the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will and Uncle Phil, they got into it because, Uncle Phil knows that Lou is no good. He's a deadbeat, and the only time he ever wants to come into Will's life, it's of some sort of benefit to him. And if it's not, he's just gonna, bounce out like he did before. Now, I'm not mad at Will, but at the same time, if I put myself in his shoes, it's like, first of all, your father walked out on you when you were a young kid. You have everything going for yourself. It's like your mom sacrificed mad shit to pretty much get you to where you are right now. And then it's like you are trying to backtrack and then, go in the trash. You know what I'm saying? What's meant to be in the trash is supposed to stay in the trash. You can't reheat cold french fries. But obviously it's inevitable. At some point, Lou is going to show up. Probably, within either the next episodes or probably the season finale, he'll probably show up. I think that I've been hearing a lot of people say that, Will Smith is going to come back as Lou. And that it would be, cool if he came back. Now, here's my thing. I don't believe Bel-Air is in that desperate need of ratings where Will Smith himself feels the need to come back on the show. Now, I see that they had the second Viv and Will's original mother on the show come on as those art executives or whatever. And that was cool. It was cool, whatever. I was like, it's nice to see them, but they didn't really have to do that. If Will Smith were to come on Bel-Air as Lou, he would overshadow the show. He would actually be doing the show a disservice if he were to come on there and be Jabari Banks' father. I think it'd be best if they just had a random actor, maybe somebody we know, maybe somebody that we don't know. But I feel like Will Smith is bigger than the show. So if he were to come on there, that's the only episode that people will pay attention to. And the only time people will ever want to watch Bel-Air moving forward is to see Will Smith on there. Will Smith used to executive produce All of Us with Dwayne Martin. Obviously, Dwayne Martin is also on the show. And he did about 4 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Now, it made sense. Like, granted, him being on the show wasn't bad because his own, like, it's like, yeah, I saw Will Smith, but then I also saw the character that he was portraying more so than I saw Will. So it made sense. And especially the early 2000s is a different era than 2022. So anyway, I don't think that Will Smith should come on the show. I don't think that he's coming on the show. So that's my thoughts on that. Calrton. I've been saying since I started doing reviews and recaps about Bel-Air that Calrton always takes 2 steps forward and then he always takes 4 steps back. I said from the beginning that Will and Calrton, ultimately are going to become brothers and they're going to become, like best friends at some point. And we're already starting to see them bond and have conversations and connect with one another. And honestly, I love to see it because that's what I want. I don't really like to see, these 2 characters be at war with each other, honestly, because they're family and I know what ultimately is going to happen down the line. So me, for the most part, I'm just looking ahead rather than right now. This dude Calrton, bro, now I had no idea that this guy could sing, and I didn't really see the scene coming. So basically, they got Calrton, performing at, I guess, like the local Baptist church in Bel-Air or whatever. And this man starts singing, and he completely butchers it. And I'm just like, bro, he started singing, and then his eyes are closed. And then once he opens his eyes, and then he's looking at the crowd, and all of a sudden he has like some sort of, panic attack, anxiety attack, or, some sort of, nervousness, freaking episode or some shit like that. And my thing is, if I was in that crowd and shit like that, I'd be like, get off the stage, nigga! Other than that, him screwing up and shit like that, I feel like Calrton, I like that. Even though he wasn't really in any position to give Will advice, at the same time, it's like he's still, looking to be there for him. Another thing about Will's mother, she was getting on my last nerve when she was imposing her insecurities and her shortcomings as a mother on everybody else. And the thing is, I don't like Aunt Vivian, but it's like her whole mission when she came down to Bel-Air was to pretty much start a riot and then make it some sort of competition between her and Vivian. And my thing is like, you're only hurting Will at the end of the day. And I feel like, she just couldn't understand that. Now, here's my thing when it comes to, Uncle Phil. I feel like we still don't know much about him yet. It's like we're getting to know him, but at the same time, it's like we still don't know this guy. I think right now he still appears to be, too perfect in my opinion. I mean, I feel like we haven't seen too many flaws yet, outside of the fact that he was willing to hide the truth from Will, or pretty much kind of keep the truth away from Will, or make the choice for him for his own benefit. And the thing is, I completely agree, and I totally understand. I thought that it was dope, the exchange between, Uncle Phil and Geoffrey. Now, do I think Uncle Phil should have fired Geoffrey? No, because I feel like ultimately that's going to have its consequences on the family, very shortly. And reason being is because they seem like they go way back. Like, whatever it is that they got going on is bigger than any sort of profession or any sort of employment that Uncle Phil is offering Geoffrey. I think that Geoffrey was being insubordinate, and I feel like if he was going to take matters into his own hands, I feel like he owed it to Uncle Phil to pretty much let Uncle Phil know what was going on, rather than just saying, Will deserves to know, and saying all this other shit. It's like, yo, bro, like, I'm paying you. Like, I'm paying you to do a certain job. I'm not paying you to take matters into your own hands and to make decisions that ultimately don't concern you. Yeah, you might love this family, but Will is his nephew. So it's like, don't get involved. Like, stay out of that shit, because you're ultimately creating more problems and more, division. Because I feel like, kind of like in the original Fresh Prince, Will and Uncle Phil, they're going to come to blows at some point. Like, they're going to have an exchange. I feel like when Lou shows up, Lou is gonna just, create a division between Will and Uncle Phil, but ultimately Lou was gonna back out like he did in the original. My thing with Lisa, and I still love her. I think the actress that plays Lisa she's absolutely gorgeous. I could almost say I'm in love with her. She's just that attractive, and I don't have that many criticisms about her. But the criticism that I do have about her character is just the fact that, look, why Will ended up in Bel-Air has nothing to do with her, and that shit has nothing to do with their relationship. So for her to pretty much let her father put a battery in her back to go impress Will about how he got there, it's just like, yo, like, you're supposed to be loyal to me. If I'm in Will's position, I would have been like, yo, why you asking me about that? Like, what does me getting here have to do with you? Even if what your father said was true, what does it have to do with our relationship? So you're gonna break up with me because of what he told you about me? Like, are you running for the campaign too? You know what I'm saying? It's not me, you, and your father that's in a relationship. It's just me and you. She was like, oh, we had sex and this, that, and the third. I'm like, yeah, you gave me them yams. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate it. But like, don't make that all go in vain just because of your father, because your father don't like me. You know what I'm saying? I think that, that it's like, from a storytelling aspect, it's like I don't understand her reasoning, because she's like, oh, you lied. I'm like, yo, his past is inconsequential to what y'all got going on. Because it's like, I would ask her, it's like, would you really be asking me about all of this shit if your father wasn't running for this campaign? You wouldn't even care. So it's like, if you didn't care then, why do you care now? And then why is our relationship on the rocks as a result of your dad? Like, I just hate when girls do that. It's like, girls, it's like I understand, like, you valuing your family and all that other types of stuff, but it's like, don't try to, make it a situation where your family is like packaged in our relationship. It's like, nah, let your family be your family and let us be us. It's like, I ain't got shit to do with your family. I ain't got shit to do with your father. So it's like, leave him out of it because it don't have shit to do with us. Another thing, I've been seeing a lot of people bashing the fact that Will and Lisa are together and they're shitting on them as a couple. And I even had to tell, a viewer, somebody who watched, the last recap, pretty much like, look, Will has every right to be in a relationship with Lisa. Why? First of all, when Will first got to Bel-Air, Will and Calrton, they were not friends. And in fact, Will and Calrton were pretty much enemies. Calrton was sitting there trying to make Will's life, as uncomfortable as possible, make it a living hell, trying to, ostracize him at school. Will had to pretty much, get his swagger back and make a name for himself at Bel-Air Academy in order for him to, like, have a better experience while being out there. So it's like, Will didn't owe Calrton any sort of explanation for being with Lisa at all. I feel like even if Lisa wasn't even in the equation, he still wouldn't have liked Will anyway, because he felt replaced by Will. He felt overshadowed by Will. And then, obviously that's easy to happen because Will is probably like 6'1" and Calrton is 5'2", 5'3". So of course you're gonna feel overshadowed. Calrton was being punished for throwing the party, and then Will wasn't punished at all because it was his birthday. So he has a lot of reasons to resent Will outside of Lisa. So I feel like people, they need to stop that shit. Like, because at the end of the day, it's like, if I don't know you, what does it matter to me that I end up, dating your ex? I don't know you. And even if we are related, we're not friends. So if we have no sort of relationship whatsoever, the fact that we're related has nothing to do with it if our relationship doesn't match up to the fact that we're related. So if our relationship doesn't look the part, I don't owe you any sort of explanation. So people need to get off that. And people need to stop criticizing Lisa because, like I said, she's the prettiest chick on this goddamn show. Speaking of pretty chicks, Hilary makes Karrueche look like nothing. Because the thing is, Karrueche is a pretty attractive chick. I'm not gonna lie, but them standing next to each other, like I said, Hilary, she's tall and black, and then Karrueche is just, short and whatnot. And mind you, I like short chicks, but whatever. Now, I started to respect Hilary because ultimately she did what she was supposed to do and picked her integrity over money. But my issue with Hilary is that she's still running around with Jazz. All right, Hilary, she needs to stop that shit. Hilary needs to, move on to bigger, better things. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, Jazz, he's not really cutting it. But yeah, so ultimately those are my thoughts on, episode 9. I feel like things are going to start to heat up in episode 10, because I'm pretty sure there's only going to be about 11 to 12 episodes, if that, for the season. And I, am willing to bet that Lou is going to show up at their door and pretty much flip their whole life upside down and start a lot of drama and all of that shit. And also, last and certainly least, Aunt Viv is still canceled, and the actress that plays Aunt Viv, she's also canceled too. And with that said, those are my thoughts on the episode. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Good luck.